And we back to Dead Cells, and more specifically, Nightmare Mode. Or, as it's called for some reason in the current difficulty, Null, because apparently they didn't initialize their arrays correctly. Anyway, this one, Minotaur Mode. We go in Brutality and Survival. And once again, just as a, full disclosure, this is post-commentary. I don't know if people actually care about that, but the last thing I want to do is try to trick people into thinking that it's not. Oh, by the way, that was intentional damage there. I was doing that just so I could rally most of the health back up and get the kill on the elite. I mean, as usual, you want to get an amulet early, you want to get an amulet often because it's worth a lot of money. And that's very, very useful in 4-cell mode, as you can imagine. So, this is not a successful run, you've probably noticed by the part 1 here. And in fact, I kind of lose the plot on doing the whole, hey, this is supposed to be a brutality survival run by the end of this and pretty much go full survival, and still manage to fail. Thus far, the closest, well, the best method, the closest thing to a consistent way to beat 4-cell mode right now is to just go straight up survival. And not only survival, but survival melee weapon, because ranged weapon just does not work as nicely as I think it should. You know what? In fact, I think I will actually put... I do have a video of me beating 4-cell mode with a ranged survival weapon. I'll throw that up at the end, so this is kind of a complete package, as it were. But when you're trying to use brutality, I'm just not finding it as easy as I would like it to be. Now, there's a few things to say about that. I mean, certainly there's... I think the castle and the hand are some of the toughest content in the game to date. The hand is just very ludicrously tanky, millions of health. It reminds me a lot of, well, at least on 4-cell mode, it reminds me a lot of fighting the assassin back in her original, the original beta weekend of the Brutal update, where she had something like 7 million health and even having a ×2 damage cursed sword that did 1,000,000 damage a second took quite a few swings to take her down. And that's the hand in a nutshell. Although not literally, because the hand is far, far too large to fit into a nutshell. So, what's the basic plan then when it comes down to doing this? Well, in this run in particular, I realized that I think that pairing a decent melee weapon, even though I didn't, but what I would suggest, I mean, you have to kind of go through that, pairing a decent melee weapon with a decent ranged survival weapon, we're talking explosive crossbow, acid nerves, and really specifically the Hunter's longbow, which I'd say is maybe the best survival ranged weapon that you can possibly get in the entire game. That and, like, I don't know, a bear trap, something like a ice grenade, give yourself a good amount of CC, a little bit of damage reduction there. Now, this is the tankiest build that you're going to get without... No, this is just going to be the tankiest build you're going to get, not even if you go pure survival. Because... So, I don't think getting damage reduction is as important as in other builds. Because the Brutality continues to give you health long after Tactics, and then Survival, same thing. So if you go kind of heavy on Brutality in the early game, then go heavy on Survival in the late game, you can get up to... I think I ended up with around nearly 20,000 health, give or take. So, I don't think damage reduction... So, yeah, and sure, damage reduction, not all that worth it, but I don't know, I just couldn't really make it work because the damage really wasn't there. And that was partially my fault because I went all in on Hunter's longbow in the end, but... I mean, you can see here, you can still get some pretty decent damage out of Brutality, even at, well, 10 I guess is not relatively low Brutality, but... The point I'm trying to make is that you can sync it up, like oil grenade and torch here is a good combination because you can get a lot of damage out of oil and fire. They actually recently buffed it so that it works longer or works harder. I don't remember. I would have to go check the patch notes again. Oh, additionally, yes, the Fire Torrent now allegedly deals critical damage on oiled up targets. So, you know, if you're going to be doing some foxy boxing, you'd want to use Fire Torrent on said enemies. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyway, it doesn't actually do that because apparently the critical damage, at least according to the numbers and according to what it feels like, is the exact same as the normal damage, so you just get the fancy, like, flashing lights, and aside from giving you a nice reference to Kanye West, that doesn't really do anything as far as extra damage, at least as far as I can tell. I think it's bugged. So I gave a few attempts at using Fire Torrent with an oil grenade makeup, but it just was not working, it seemed. Yeah, going up to the wrench location to get a little extra money to afford some of those sexy, sexy ranged weapons. And really, I think it was ultimately worth it. It's just, the Hunter's Longbow is great, but the hand is so tanky, and the hand has that passive projectile blocking ability that, unless you're using something that shoots very quickly, like a turret, it doesn't seem like it's super worth it. If you're using something slowly, it doesn't work very well. Which is really too bad, because it works just fantastically against everything else. So, what's the deal with Brutality? Why is Brutality not working for me? Well, here's the basic thing with... Oh, Wrenching Whip has new stuff. That's probably going to be the next episode, in fact, because I can't keep doing freaking hour-long episodes every couple days. I don't do them every day, thank God. But anyway, yeah, so Brutality, a lot of range, not a lot of ranged weapons. It's all a lot of melee weapons, and melee tends to be the place where you get totally wrecked most often. Similarly, ranged weapons tend to have better affixes. Tactics has the best mix-up of... Hey, double cherry. Tactics has the best mix-up of different mutations that you can possibly get in the entire game. I still hold that, like, cooldown reduction is the best. Lucky getting another torch there. Not that I necessarily need to replace that because the burn damage was what was really doing a lot of work there, but it's an upgrade either way, so whatever. So when it comes to using Brutality, you got less range, you got less good mutations, you got less good affixes to give you a lot of extra damage, and you got to put yourself more in harm's way. So it's the one thing I suppose you could say about it: you don't have to worry about ammunition. You don't have to worry about fulfilling weird conditions with enemies, although I am kind of forcing myself into that by using a little oil grenade and fire action. I honestly think if you were going to use... but yeah, it's a nice... Brutality is nice and simple, but I don't think it works very well for the sort of tricky shenanigans you gotta pull to do a good 4-cell mode. That said, this entire series is not about doing things, you know, the optimal way. It's about trying to experiment around, figure out what works, what doesn't work, whatever. And this one especially, I wanted to try to not just go into a damage reduction shield, as I really, really often do, to see if, hey, who knows, maybe this build will be amazing. I'm thoroughly impressed with the Hunter's Longbow, but we already knew that, and aside from that, it's not like the torch was giving me a whole ton. I don't know. Prison Depths. Just because this is the last area that I have not yet shown on a video. It's pretty much the same thing. A lot more enemies, you know, sardine pack, etc. And then you also get Lancers in here, making their way out of the castle and into my heart. They're as terrible as ever, and they're especially good in areas like the Prison Depths here, where you have a lot of corridors that they can stab you down in and stab you back and forth. It's a very boxy sort of level, and that works well with how the Lancers do. Thankfully, Hunter's Longbow really pulling some work, even with pretty small amount of survival, I would say. I don't know. You know, I guess I would say this, the one thing that I found out in this episode is that the Hunter's Longbow is maybe the best type of weapon that you can take in to to the non-boss. Well, actually, any boss except for the hand, really. Firebrands could be alright, but I mean, come on. Torch also has that lot of extra damage because bludgeoning, I guess. I mean, that makes some sense to me. So if I was going to do something different with Brutality run here, I think I would probably choose something that just had... like, something more focused on doing big hits, big damage. Yeah, there you go. I couldn't remember it, because I have recorded a whole host of episodes trying to get Minotaur mode working here, and it just wasn't cutting the mustard. Couldn't even remember if I used Fire Torrent in this one. But yeah, getting something that just does regular damage, no gimmickry, like a Balance Blade or something. Or maybe like a Spiteful Sword. That Spiteful Sword is great for rallying up a lot of health after you get hit, but I have tried that in other runs and it just didn't work as well as I would want it to. I think what I really have to do, more than anything else, is just, well, learn the hand's patterns, but again, this isn't here, this whole series is not about, you know, me getting good at the game. It's about finding the best sort of methodologies to deal with 4-cell mode as the game gets tougher and tougher, and it was already pretty tough to start out with. So, I mean, yeah, me learning how to fight the hand even better than I already do is good, but not really what I'm... not really the goal. What I have to do is I have to figure out, like, what is the best mix-up of stuff. And I honestly thought, you know, of the mix-ups that you can choose or not choose, whatever, that getting a Hunter's Longbow, and I think I eventually get a Bear Trap here, would have been a great combination. You know, hold that hand in place and then just do tons and tons of damage, because I would say Hunter's Longbow, maybe not the best for doing just pure straight damage, but certainly the best for doing damage at a distance. That's not, you know, building tactics, if you're not building tactics. If you are building tactics, well then just take out all your turrets, throw it down with all the synergies you can get, you do 1,000,000 points damage per second, which still means that the hand will survive for about 10 seconds, but you know. Beggars can't be choosers, that's not a phrase that makes any sense in this context. That was worryingly close, but thankfully that spinner decided to kill himself, so no love lost there. Yeah, exact same damage, critical and normal hits. I have no idea. Ugh. So what would the best way to take out the hand be? Yeah, with a Fogger I wasn't going to take any chances there. And that's a much better affix to have on an Ice Grenade, so it gets replaced. Oh, what would I even say? I don't know. A huge amount of damage does not seem to... Obviously, ranged weapons are out. I don't think... Or at least slow ranged weapons are out. Also, that was so close to getting killed by that Lancer there. A lot of tactics stuff I don't think is worth it, because you're going to take too much damage, and tactics does not give you enough health to deal with said damage. So, I mean, there's always a combination that I keep getting suggested to me and then not doing, which, when I say it like that, man, I really should do that combination at some point. Getting a frontline shield to block a whole bunch of damage, and then a Spiteful Sword to help rally up the damage that you took, as well as do extra damage because of the critical. I think that could be a good combination. It could also be some weird gimmicky type thing where you get stun locked eventually because the hand hits too hard for that. I don't know. There are a lot of questions, and I think that more than anything else, I mean, first off, again, the 4-cell runs are probably going to be on hiatus, as if, well, I mean, I say that as if I was supposed to be like a huge planned out series that I was doing, but like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do a 4-cell run for a while because it takes way too long, and I can't beat him well enough. There's a bunch of things that I want to try out instead, and I think that would be a good time to sort of test out some of the theory crafting with how to best take down the hand. And that's checking out some of the weapons that have been changed up since I've done a video on them, or since they initially came out. Explosive crossbow, wrenching whip, spiked boots, all that sort of stuff. And then during that time, I can figure out like a decent build for fighting the hand. Because as of right now, I don't know. I would love to hear if anybody has any suggestions, like, hey, what's the best way that you figured out how to blah, blah, blah. I mean, obviously the way to do it would be... I can't believe I got that last hit there. Obviously the way to do it would be just do the same thing I did in the Perfect the Hand video. But I tend not to have 4 flask charges when I go into the hand on 4-cell mode, and he's going to be taking a lot more damage. So building everything into tactics and then foregoing all the other stats doesn't really seem like the most good idea. I mean, as it is, I can, like, even right now, get to the hand on 4-cell mode. I've even tried, well, not really, like, speedrunning it, but let's say impatiently going through the game because I was sick of doing it so many times, and I've gotten there in about, like, a half hour or so, but then the hand totally rocks me, so maybe not the best idea. Building, like... If you were gonna go full survival, building something like Crushers could be pretty good. Because that does a ton of damage. You can already see, well, speaking of damage, you can already see the damage start to fall off here for Fire Torrent. No surprise, but a little disappointing. I did end up taking the Alienation. Even with its substantial nerf, it still is the best, most consistent way to get healing in the game, so hey. Oh, there's plenty of stuff that you can do with colorless weapons, looking at this curse chest here. Certainly colorless weapons are... I would compare colorless weapons to kind of like a Joker card. It's not going to be the determining factor in you getting a Royal Flush, but it certainly ups your odds a lot. Because it can fit into whatever sort of build. However, if it does fit into a build that you were already creating, then that's just 20% extra damage you're taking for, you know, just that particular weapon. Yeah, you can already see how the Hunter's Longbow is becoming like, oh, well, I was building Brutality, but... Look at this amazing, incredible damage. I certainly think that it... As of right now, if you were going to ask me what is the best way to take that to beat 4-cell mode, I would just say go survival. Go early game tactics, late game survival, and then get yourself like a symmetrical lance. Get yourself Valmont's whip does pretty good, and then just beat the ever-loving crap out of him without worrying about taking too much damage from his attacks because you built up like 20,000 hit points, and you probably have a decent shield and blah, blah, blah. I just don't like that being... I want to make Brutality work here. Certainly Fire Torrent may not be the best for that, and like I said, I've done a bunch of runs aside from this, so I have kind of experimented around with getting like Spiteful Sword in there to do a ton of damage after getting hit, with getting Spiked Boots in there because hand is almost always attacking. Going real hard on damage reduction with fire grenades, with ice grenades, you know, slowing him down, getting good synergies on there. But even if you have decent synergies with a melee weapon, like, you always have a lot of lemon affixes along with, you know, something good like plus damage on poison or plus damage on fire. You always get, like, throw out a grenade or shoot an arrow above you, in front of you, behind you, along with stuff that you'd actually want. And I've said this before, that the turrets... Take it. Just take the torch. You've been given 3 of them. Go Bloodborne challenge run here. Torch only. But yeah, I just haven't been able to do it, is what I'm saying. I am not good at it. I've been playing a hell of a lot of Dead Cells, but I cannot get enough damage with a melee weapon to be able to beat the hand before I get totally mobilized. So if there, yeah, like I said, first off, I saw that shocker there, and I said, absolutely not. Even with an ice grenade, no. I don't know, I think like maybe grenades would be a good go-to, because obviously grenades are the big thing that Brutality has along with it, but bosses tend to be super resistant to a lot of stuff like pushing, pulling around. Your ivy grenade would do. There's an elite down there, and a shocker up above. Bosses also tend not to be... Well, the bosses are... You're in battle with them enough that freezing and stunning them quickly becomes ineffective. And overall, melee weapons just don't have the same... you're being constantly attacked by the hand, and melee weapons don't have the same sort of constant attacking that you would get out of a turret. Even grenades would not be able to do the same sort of thing, because they have usually somewhat substantial cooldown times associated with them, whereas turrets last for however long you put them out and are doing constant damage the entire time, especially because he has such a tiny, tiny arena, so that you can get something firing on all cylinders, like pretty much throughout the entire battle, especially if you take... I think that's the frustrating thing for me. Tactics has been lessened in usefulness in this most recent patch, but a lot of the things that make it extremely powerful still persist. It's extremely good mutations. The extremely versatile and good skills that are still all tactic-based. I mean, all they did was make it so that you would die almost immediately if you tried to build only tactics. It's just a question of survivability. If all you did was just... getting some decent damage out of that torch. If all you did was just build tactics and make sure that you never got hit at any point in time during your run, it would still be the ultimate stat to take, the one stat to rule them all. So I think that in terms of how this current update is, there are still some weird balance issues, and I just think that, you know, I'm also going to say that it could easily be that I am totally overlooking some of the better skills in the game. I am totally overlooking some of the better weapons. I mean, I am using a torch right now, which is a weapon that I almost never really give the time of day. Stupid shield bearer. So it's not like, or similarly, Fire Torrent, which is something that I also don't use very often. Now, despite my name, I surprisingly don't use as much well, I use fire a lot, but not much for fire weaponry aside from pyrotechnics. And not even all that much anymore, because of the changes. I still like the torch as a weapon, but, you know, it's pretty much your standard melee weapon that delivers fire, so... I mean, it's good in that sense. I mean, making the assumption that Fire Torrent is currently bugged right now, presumably it would be much better if you were getting the actual critical with it. Frankly, I don't know. I do think that of the various melee weapons that I have used in the game, I'm still gonna say that spike boots are my favorite, because you can pretty much always get the critical popping off on that weapon. However, there are a lot of melee weapons to get in the game, so when you choose the melee weapon in the shop through merchandise category there, you tend to not get... You tend to have to cycle through a lot of things before you can get to the weapon that you're looking for, or not looking for, or whatever. Ah, yes, that was the part where I was confused, because where's the rest of the level? Yep, I didn't go far enough in the chest room. Also purposely left some of these enemies alive here just in case I was going to get cursed again. And, I think I might be missing the one cell door in this area. Or maybe I saw it and ignored it. I do not actually remember. Yep. And pretty much I was thinking, like, well, you know, I could try to get some synergies there. But then I was just like, well, do I really want to spend this much gold? And then I realized I had 230,000 gold. And I'm like, oh, wait, what am I trying to be stingy for? I have a ton of gold because I've been fighting every single elite that I come across. Yeah, and here's where I see, you know, hey, there's a fire grenade here. And although I didn't take it, and then I forgot how to get out of this area, which is weird because I've been to this area a million times before. Oh, there's the one cell door. I was thinking, hey, what I'm rocking right now is oil grenade plus a little bit of fire action here. But I could easily do the reverse as well and get the fire grenade and the oiled sword. Of course, and that's what I was thinking at the time, and right now I am thinking, wait a second, the fire grenade has a way longer cooldown than the oil grenade, which is like the big difference between the two, so I don't think it would work nearly as well. However, the oiled sword can get a plus 100% on burning targets, so it may be worth it to take something like that in the future, is what I'm thinking. Maybe try out something like that. Like I said, spiked boots, fantastic. Enemies are almost always attacking, so you're almost always getting that critical damage. Spiteful sword, still one of my favorites. What else that's good? What else that's good? Wrenching Whip, I like a lot of the changes that they've done recently. Also, like I said, I will be probably doing a video highlighting that next time. I mean, the only reason that I don't have one out right now is because I had that great curse sword run. And by great, I mean kind of terrible because I did die in the clock tower. But hey, it was great at the time. And here's where I decide to just forego the whole melee thing almost entirely. I gave a little token attempt there, but you can clearly see that I'm getting a lot of damage off of Hunter's longbow. But you know, Incomplete One is pretty much just a big damage sponge in a lot of ways. He will, I mean, aside from his ability to turn invincible occasionally, he doesn't really have any sort of defenses against weaponry. Aside from his damage field around him. So that's not really the most telling. And similarly, the assassin coming up is going to be fairly low health. So if I get a lot of survival in these next few areas, and I do, she is absolutely no problem at all. And I think I actually do another perfect on her. So hey, Chuck, put that one up on the whiteboard. The whiteboard that tells me how much time I've wasted perfecting the assassin. It's not even necessary, and really in a lot of ways it under-prepares you for the next section. It kind of feels like that, where if you have a build that does really well against the assassin, you might be too focused on a single stat, and that's going to be bad in the upcoming hand fight. Yeah, it used to be that I said, like, okay, what you're trying to build for is you're not trying to build for going through the levels, because going through the levels is easy. Obviously a little bit different now with the castle and with 4-cell mode entirely because of the amount of enemies and all the elites and But there was a while there, I want to say like Foundry update, 3-cell mode, where it became, well, now the levels are more difficult than the actual bosses. Because, you know, you can punk the assassin pretty easily. And if your first fight was against the Incomplete One, I mean, hey, it's the Incomplete One. But now we're all the way back to you gotta build for bosses again. So, I mean, is that good? I don't know. Honestly, I cannot say one way or another. But, I mean, hey, there is a... I would say that as far as theory crafting goes, for me, it's all about figuring out how to deal with that castle and that hand. And I think, considering how this run goes with the Hunter's Longbow in the castle, and pretty much making it the easiest time that I've had in the castle for quite a while, minus one very close death. Very nearly death. I don't know. I'd say it's all about the Benjamins. No, it's all about the hand. Figuring out how to deal with the hand on 4-cell mode and really any mode. I think that one of the biggest criticisms I've seen from this run is that the hand is just too dang difficult. And honestly, oh yeah, here's where I decided, hey, maybe I want to take one of these oiled sword thingies, but I didn't have one that synced with anything, so I don't know why I did it. Yeah, one of the biggest complaints is just that the hand is too dang difficult. Can't beat him. He's too tanky. He has an arena that works very well for him. I mean, hey, bosses always have home field advantage. Elites don't, and that's what makes it a lot easier to fight those dudes. And then, yeah, all of his attacks pretty much go all over his arena, but you know, that's again another thing with the arena. And even late game, of course, he still has a pretty huge amount of... He still deals a pretty huge amount of damage, even if you've been building survival and damage reduction and whatever. Pirate Captain's too huge, I can't get around him. So, yeah, I mean, Oh yeah, that's gonna help a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's all about just figuring that out. Ice Shock. Since I do have an oil grenade, I thought, hey, maybe this will work, because Ice Shock can get some pretty decent damage on an oil target, and you can clearly see that it's not getting all that decent of damage on an oil target. Oh well, I've committed, so I guess I'm going to mostly use it for the slowing effect instead. I mean, it's probably more because I got the stats so evenly split between survival and brutality, rather than, you know, any sort of fault of the... I mean, I don't want to throw any shade on Ice Shock. It's a good weapon, it's just not that good in this particular circumstance. So, hey, I don't know. Yeah, I decided to go Fog Fjord instead of going to the Slumbering Sanctuary, because the Slumbering Sanctuary has ended so many nascent runs for me. It's like, hey, you're doing good, and then you get in there, and then you just get your butt punched by a golem like 50 times, and it's back to the beginning with you. Back to reality. Whoops, there goes gravity. Because you got punched off a cliff by a golem. Ugh. If I was going to choose what the easier of the two areas that you do before the assassin fight would be, I would probably say the Sepulchre at this point, because enemies are so densely packed in this area, and you got all the projectiles and everything, that I just don't think it's as good. Also, there's a lot of little traps everywhere, and traps, at least in the Sepulchre, are a little less minimal. It's also a lot of smaller areas, less vertical oriented, which can be kind of awkward to go up because the camera still isn't perfect doing that. Yeah, so pretty much anything that's above, like, let's say 2-cell difficulty. Well, you know what? Let's just say 4-cell difficulty. I would probably say go to the Sepulchre instead. But hey, if all you're planning to do is just dodge through everything, that also works equally as well, if not better. Because at least you don't have to worry about the darkness mechanic. Also time during Sepulchre, which is pretty nice. And a lot more curse chests, if that's your bag. Ah, yes, and I was looking for a bear trap this entire time and forgot to grab one. But hey, we got Bear Trap X here. My least favorite Mega Man X armor. I was looking for what the best affix could possibly be. And here, because it gives me a minus 25% damage taken, I decided, well, maybe? Maybe. And frankly, it is pretty effective. Of course, all turrets are pretty effective. I mean, that's just the thing with turrets. Also, another great thing is that you're always able to... Man, he sniped me right at the last second there. Yeah, another thing is that you're always able to, when it have so many things on screen that you can't actually tell what's going on, that your turrets will still be doing work attacking enemies at that time. While you're just scrambling to get out of there and figure out where the hell your character is again. Got that nice little loop where you just jump up and go around. Trying to take down that guy with the ice shock, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, I still have ice shock. Forgot about that. Yeah, even when I'm not building tactics, still took the cooldown reduction. That's what makes that sort of thing possible, because you can just constantly be throwing down stuff like bear traps and flamethrower turrets. I do think, I don't know if it's warranted to do an entire rework of mutations or something like that, but I honestly would not be opposed to it too, because although, you know, it could also just be me. It could be me just trying as hard as I can to not go with the same thing every single time. I mean, if all I wanted to do was beat 4-cell mode, I would just pick survival again, and I would just go early game tactics, late game survival, get myself a nice symmetrical lance, and have it finished before supper. But that's not really the... I mean, doing that over and over for a video. I've always talked about, like, getting into the flow chart. Northern Lion calls it zaniness when he does something that, you know, you don't expect or whatever. And I think that me trying out different builds, at least attempting to do something different, is kind of my version of that. Deployable oil goes good with a flamethrower turret, certainly. Just trying to get something new, but I still keep taking the same mutations each time. Well, I haven't really been told, like, hey, this or that or anything is a better sort of set of mutations to take, so I don't know. Because that extra health certainly does... That extra health works as good as a buffer. The cooldown reduction works great to make sure that you can get as much DPS out of your skills as possible. Yeah, I just ducked in there quick so I could lose the aggro of the elite there. Hey, 4-cell mode. It's nightmare mode. It's supposed to be tough. And I can accept that. I mean, I've said before that, hey, I don't mind a good challenge here or there. The only thing that I think is that it does kind of expose some of the issues that there are with balancing in the game. But, of course, I'm not a game designer, so who am I to say what's what? Now, why did I do that? I'm just going to let that question sit there for a second. Why did I do that? Oh, there is no answer. I mean, you can tell me whatever you want. I got nothing here. Why would I trade out the flamethrower turret for Toxicloud, which is tactic scaling, which yes, does put oil on the ground, but the point of having the oil on the ground was because I had the flamethrower turret. It does give me damage reduction. So did the flamethrower turret. I like to think that when I'm doing post-commentary like this, that I'm a bit of an audience surrogate here, and Like, what was that? What are you doing? I suppose there was kind of a feeling that it's like, I keep going turrets every single time. Well, turrets are great, but I gotta try something else, but why that? Why of all, oh man. Alright, assassin fight. It's pretty much the same thing as the incomplete one fight. I'm just gonna be taking out that bow and doing as much damage with the bow as I can. And, well, I'll spoil it right now, it works out pretty well. Alright, let's go. Also, really nice to have a good bear trap there, just so you're able to get as many hits off as possible with Hunter's longbow. Not as effective in the hand fight because he's at a much larger, or a much smaller arena. There you are. The dance part, I don't know, 56 at this point. Oh man, I still have like 3 giant killer, yeah, I still need to get, but that's still not in the game. But yeah, I still gotta get the Hayabusa gauntlets in the tornado here too. I don't think that they would be super helpful. I mean, sure, you know, hey, ain't nothing wrong with the Hayabusa gauntlets. I just don't think that they don't have that je ne sais quoi that you would require to deal with a lot of this. They are a melee weapon, and their major damage dealer is that you hit things multiple times in a row, which is, even with the rolling mechanic, is pretty hard to do in the castle. Because of the catchers, because of the lancers, because of the guardian knights. They all create an incredible melange of irritation. Yes, and you can just see it unfold, like, hey, wait a second, was I doing like Brutality or something? Ah, who cares? I mean, pretty much I would suggest this right up to the hand fight, so I don't know. It's a pretty effective build for dealing with your generic riffraff. Especially if you get any sort of piercing, which with the levels of weapons that you get on 4-cell mode, is pretty likely you're going to get some form of piercing. Just one-shotting enemies even on 4-cell mode. Still don't know where the giant killer is. I'm betting right now that what it's probably going to be is... Yeah, by the way, you want to talk like what's the best weapon to take into the hand fight? Giant killer. I think that yeah, you'll consistently get the critical hit. It's a good survival scaling weapon. Like, it's melee, so you don't have to worry about him deflecting shots. Just waiting for it. Don't have a shield, so I can't cancel out his hits. But yeah, I'm guessing that you're probably going to be getting the giant killer when it comes to revamping the challenge rooms, because I don't know, like, whatever they're gonna do for challenge rooms, because I'm still not sure. The Motion Twin is not giving any indication of what's going to be coming out of that, if anything. If it's just going to be the same thing, you're going to get your choice of some sort of elite pool of treasure, or if there's going to be something unique there. Or what it's even going to be. I mean, who knows? Maybe what you gotta do is go through like in the castle, you go through a boss rush or something, and then you get the giant killer at the end of that. Giant killer blueprint. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they were gonna have like different stuff for each area. Maybe something similar to what it is right now for the prison cells. Then like more platforming or something for the promenade, and maybe something with like poison or whatever for the sewers. Oh god, that would have been one hell of a hit there if I didn't roll out of the way. But who knows? I'm still looking forward to it. That and the lore update. Ooh, yes, the lore. Just to talk about that. Really what I want to see is I want to see what the lore is going to be. If one, I got anything correct at all, and two, if it's going to be just the most ham-fisted, you know, hey, I interacted with this bookcase, just tell me everything about the land of Nirn or whatever. Or if it's going to be something weird and subtle, like, well, kind of like it's been so far, but I don't know. Got him up there so I can clear his ads. Going to get him in the bear trap. Of course, my preference would be getting it nice and subtle. Also, really nice necklace pickup. But hey, whatever. I'm not really playing this for the story anyway. I mean, let me tell you, I don't think I could possibly make like 150 episodes of this about the story alone. I'm not Vadi here. Which I'm happy with. I always thought he was the lamest Zelda character anyway. Alright, and here I decided that, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go for the third cell, because the exit's right there. I could have easily just dipped right out if I felt like it. But I said no. No. And by the way, did you notice how the shop was actually right at the entrance, and yet I went to this area so I could go around in a loop for no real reason? Because I didn't realize that at the time. Yeah. Oh yeah, here I made sure that the bear trap had good synergy with fiery fire. And not that it really does all that much good for me, but I don't know. I wasn't getting any use out of Ice Shock right now, so hey. Should have just went for another flamethrower turret. Probably would have been better over. Honestly, probably should have just gone for a cluster bomb. Cluster bomb would be way... Well, I'd lose out on the damage reduction. I mean, it does give me that precious, precious oil that does nothing for me. I do have firebrands now, so I guess it would do something. Not much, but something. Yeah, and I decided I wanted to fight the Inquisitor here. That was a mistake. I mean, really, what am I going to do with more money right now? And I just got maybe, what, +2 on Brutality and Survival? What better necklace could I possibly be getting? Honestly, I have no idea what I was even looking for here. And that would actually be perhaps the best necklace possible for a tactics build, but... it's, the one time I'm not using tactics in any way. It's literally the one build that you would use that's not have tactics in it. Or at least would, you know, use tactics as dump stat. I mean, obviously he's still using tactics in some way for that extra cooldown reduction, but I don't think being able to use Toxic Cloud a whole bunch is going to do me a lot of good in the end. Thorny, like, yeah. He is the easiest type of dude to take. He is the easiest of the 3 castle elites, so hey. I mean, if you already got 2 keys from the mortuary, the dual tracker fight, you might as well go for the 3rd key from Thorny. I would say that it's kind of a toss-up as to if you would want to go for the slasher if he was the last one that was left. But Thorny, definitely. Yeah, and I got scoped out my last little, the last shop here, so a little chance at salvation. Maybe get like a decent Brutality. Oh no, I decide to go for ranged weapons. Oh, the one that syncs well with oil? No, 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 no. I'm gonna try to double tap this, which doesn't work. Which clearly does not work. And you can see, oh no, you're just gonna go with it. Okay. Yeah, I was told in one of the previous, I was told in the comment section of one of the previous videos that, There is some stuff that you can do with like the heavier weapons, your hunter's longbow and your explosive crossbow, but not, I don't think when you have two of them. I think it's when you have like a hunter's longbow and a explosive crossbow, and not, whatever. That's definitely something to play around with later, but for right now, I certainly have enough money to respec about as many times as I please. Even if I did still have the heart at this point, I would probably switch it out for something else, because coming back at like 20% health is not going to... Well, first off, I'm not going to be like one-shot at any point in time anyway. And coming back at very low health is not going to do me any good as far as battle goes. I mean, it certainly could, but I feel like there's more useful stuff that I could take there, like just having more health overall. Battle starts out pretty good, but you can already see the hunter's longbow starting to lose efficacy. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, what's the actual damage I'm getting on that? I wasn't paying attention during the game. About 25,000 damage per hit. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's just ridiculous. The funny thing is that this is maybe the best run that I've had for Minotaur build, as it were. And some of the best hand fighting that I've done in a while. I don't think I've been hit yet. Good. And then, of course, here come the banners to really screw that up. Oh, there's the first damage. And it's all down here from downhill from here, folks. Bear trap, maybe not doing as much. Also, I like it. It explodes immediately as because I'm on the edge of the arena, so it has just enough time to do that. Yeah, bear trap's kind of screwing up the timing when it comes to utilizing the dash there. So we can only block if it hits him in the front, obviously. However, the sort of consistency to get him in that, I don't think exists. You know, Bear Trap and Assassin's Deck would probably also be a pretty good combination, because that's always, I mean, that's been like my go-to combination for like new game mode forever. Such huge range. So I think it would also work out here pretty well. Roll through that, goober. Yeah, like that. Yeah, one of the important things you need to remember is that he will always be in range of hitting you. His symmetrical lance is much better than yours. I mean, unless, like, in that one single circumstance where he is literally on the very edge and doing his melee attack. Other than that, right there, you know you're going to get hit. Maybe the most I've heard of the hand's theme to date here. Usually he or I are... Usually I'm already dead or he's already dead at this point. Slight stall to make sure that you're going to get... Ooh, close. Ah, yeah, and you can just see it starting to go. And should probably be, yep. Well, I'll get him.